Well, facilitation is a real art form in and of itself, and I'm thinking about the fact that there are many different terms that we use when we talk about people interacting with our guests. So sometimes it's museum educators. We have assistant and associate educators too. I'm not sure what that says, but they may be on the floor. It may be totally a volunteer. It may be a docent. And very often that term suggests heavy-duty training in terms of intellectual knowledge for people. When you come to the idea of facilitation, or a facilitator, however, their role is very much that of a bridge. And as a bridge, they're standing between the content and the learning skills or desires of the audience. And they really need to support the two coming together rather than being the explainer or the teller or the teacher at all times. Certainly sharing his information is something that audiences anticipate, but at the same time, this is the person who's actually creating the opportunity for the family to be learning directly on their own through their own kinds of skills. It's a very difficult situation, a very, very difficult task. There's a wonderful study that was done actually trying to look at third-person interpreters and first-person interpreters in historic settings and what different kinds of things happen when it's advantageous to be one or the other. But the same thing was found in both, that so often the interpreter engaged with one person in the group, to the exclusion of the others who are standing, maybe enjoying the conversation, but at the same time not directly involved. And what it truly shut down was the conversation within the group or within the family. So the really good facilitator is one who finds a way to generate that conversation in the family. And I think it's very difficult, and we need to spend time thinking about how we train and what we do in those areas. One of the things that I thought about a lot is that people, in order to learn, we need kind of frameworks for learning. And that our museums do present a number of different kinds of frameworks, possible frameworks. It's the way in which information is organized sometimes provides that. Critical thinking skills, which are the things that we are so good at potentially helping people to use. And you can scaffold these at different levels. A young child can be a terrific observer, so that being able to observe and identify something or be able to say what's going on there or what do they see brings them into the conversation right away. The hypothesis of, well, what do you think is actually going to happen when these two things come together is a skill that might be better directed at an older child. Or you might be able to say, does it remind you of anything in your own life? And what you are doing is your framework is that of a skill building. And that to me is one of the components of family learning that we don't talk about very much, but that has enormous potential for the power of the museum in turning, you're really teaching the family in a lot of ways how to converse and how to learn together, because that's a form of modeling that I think can be extremely important in this multi-generational group. So frameworks, and I think about it in the History Museum setting, where those frameworks might very well be choice and consequence, change over time. They might be any number of things that allow you to present that framework and then work within it. So that's teaching a skill too, and really good teachers are terrific at this. And this is what we need to be able to share. And when I use the term volunteers, there are some of them that are better than we can ever imagine ourselves being at doing this, but we need to think about that curriculum internally, as well as with those we hire on staff just alone.
I mean, I think good facilitation are people who are responsive to the audience, but they themselves understand that they're not just delivering a kids program, they're delivering a family program. So how are they inviting the parent to, hold a certain element so that their kid can work with them? How are they delivering information and literally switching between talking to the adult and then talking to the kid? That may be more appropriate in certain situations. So I think a good facilitator has internalized that what they're delivering is a multi-layered, multi-tiered experience, and helping them then navigate those tiers is really important.
We're not only teaching or providing or modeling these kinds of learning skills and approaches and frameworks, but every learner needs tools. And I think that thinking about this experience as a whole, where we provide a variety of tools for learning styles that this family may bring together, is also important. In programs with specific objectives, those learning tools are often facilitated. They may be written, they may be modeled in a number of different ways, but then how do we prepare? What are the upfront tools? What's that conversation that builds the relevance right from the beginning? And so relevance, using relevance as a core to that tool of providing, try this as a first step so that you've established that groundwork. A tool that families get to take home with them. We've already mentioned that, but I think it's really very important. A tool that is a reference that sends families to another gallery, perhaps, in the institution, and goes and says, take a look at this, and imagine how you would do that as a family group before they actually leave. A tool that's on your website, a tool that somebody takes home, a postcard-based tool. There are any number of things that we can do, but we're really becoming serious educators here. And I think that's part of what is very exciting for us. I'm going to turn a page here because my favorite quotations about families and learning in museums came out of the book that was published from the Chicago History Center about children learning, using exhibits to support children's learning in history museums. And one person quoted there made the statement, think of the family as a coordinated hunter-gatherer team activity. They are foraging in the museum to satisfy their curiosity about their topics and about objects that interest them. So sometimes the tool that we give them is they may not know the questions to ask first. Their curiosity may not yet be engaged because they don't know enough to ask that question or to encounter that idea. But if we give them those topics and that curiosity through their family learning experience, we've turned them into this hunter-gatherer team that I think has the opportunity to bring back a tremendous amount of information.